How are you all? What did we learn in the previous lesson? Body movements, isn't it? In body movements, so many things we have learned. How many sense organs are there? Which are the body movements that rotates completely? And different types of joints we have learned in detail, isn't it? And I have given you few questions to write answers in the rough notebook. Please write answers in the rough notebook. Okay, children. Now, whatever questions are given, you have to read what all I have explained you. Okay, then only you are able to answer those questions and the explanation what I have done. So, previous class we have learned body movements, so many things we have discussed, different types of joints we have seen, and one two activity we have done it. With the figures I have showed you about ball and socket joint, pivotal joint, hinge joint, fixed joint, and the animals, the body parts used for moving from one place to the another place, and movement in our body. I have asked you to complete the table 8.2, that whether neck rotates completely or partially, whether neck bends, neck lifts or does not move at all. Do that table in a textbook itself. Have you done it? Okay, fine. So, shall we move on to the next part of our body movement, that is part 2. We are going for the part 2. We know that all animals and human beings move, isn't it? But do all animals move like humans? Not at all. So, humans walk on legs, but birds fly using their wings. Different types of animals have different body structures and use different ways for locomotion. Locomotion means going from one place to the another place. The body parts such as legs and wings that help in locomotion, they are called locomotory organs. But how do these locomotory organs help an organism to move? These organs take the help of the skeletal system in the organism and its features for movement. So today we are going to study about the human skeletal system and its features in this chapter. What we are going to learn? Human skeletal system. So the human skeleton is composed of around how many bones at birth? 305 bones at birth. How many bones? 305 bones at birth. The number of bones in the skeleton changes with age. Slowly it decreases to 206 bones by adulthood after some bones have refused to gather. So the human skeleton is composed of around how many bones? 305 bones at birth. And the number of bones in the skeleton changes according to the age. and totally it decreases and come up to 206 bones by the adulthood after some bones have been fused together. So this framework is called skeleton. So you can see this is figure 8.7. The framework is called skeleton. You can see this skeleton, the number of bones right from top to foot. And also you see the arms and the legs, the foot, the number of bones. How do we know that this is the shape of a human skeleton? So how do we know the shapes of the different bones in our body? So how will we come to know? We can have some idea about the shape and number of bones in some parts of our body. How? By feeling them. How can we feel them? We can touch, we can press. Okay. Now, one way we could know this shape better would be to look at X-ray images of the human body. How will we come to know the shape better? Looking at the X-ray images of the human body. Did anyone notice in your family, did they have undergone X-ray of any part of your body? So, when sometimes when we are hurt or have an accident, what do doctors use? They use these X-ray images to find out what to find out any possible injuries that might have happened to the bones. Through the X-ray shows the shape of the bones in our bodies. You might have noticed this, or you might have undergone in your life, either in the childhood or in early first standard, second standard, while playing. You might have got injuries and you might have gone to the doctor and you might have seen how the X-ray has been removed to see what injury has taken. Now, feel the bones in your forearm, upper arm, lower leg, and upper leg, and try to find the number of bones in each part. What you are going to touch now? You are going to touch your parts of the body. Which are the parts of the body you are going to touch? Your forearm. You know forearm? The hand what you move, front, back, right, left, and upper arm, lower leg, okay, and upper leg, and try to find the number of bones in each part. I'll show you in figure 8.7 about this is the upper arm, this is the lower arm, this is the upper arm, and these are the legs, upper arm, and these are the down. Okay. So you see, try to find the number of bones in each part and feel the bones of your ankle and knee joint. You can see in this skeletal system, this is knee. Okay. Where are you going to see? You have to see the number of bones. This is the ankle and this is the knee. Have you seen The same shape I will show you in the figure 8.8. This is the X-ray images of ankle. This is the ankle and this is the knee joint. What is this? Knee joint. Okay. And what is this? This is the image of an ankle. Okay. So, feel the bones in your forearm, upper arm, lower leg and upper leg and try to find the number of bones in each part as I showed you in the slides. Similarly, feel the bones of your ankle and also the knee joints. Compare this with the X-ray images. What you are going to do? Whatever you have removed the X-rays of your part of the body, just you compare that X-ray and these slides and you compare. Okay. Now, bend your fingers. How many fingers you have? Right hand you have 5 fingers and left hand you have 5 fingers, isn't it? So 5 plus 5 how many? 10 fingers. Now how many bones does your middle finger have? You feel, you touch and you count. Okay, bend your fingers and how many bones does your middle finger have? And feel the back of your palm. It seems to have many bones. Many small bones, isn't it? We can see in figure 8.9. What are these? These are the bones of the fingers. What are these? These are the bones of the finger. And this is the middle finger. Isn't it? What is this? This is the middle finger. So, now it is made up of several bones, several small bones. So, what are they called? They are called corpuscles. What are they called? It is made of several small bones. What are they called? Corpuscles. So what will happen if it has only one bone? Are you able to bend your fingers flexibly? No. If it has only one bone, it is impossible because the wrist is flexible. Why? Because it is made up of many, several small bones. What are they called? They are called corpuscles. Okay, children. Now, try to guess the shape and size of the bones present in different parts of your body. We have seen in upper arm, we have seen in lower arm, again what else? Lower leg, forearm, ankle, isn't it? You have touched even the knee joint. You might have seen a scary looking human skeleton in horror movies and even in comics. The skeleton is the framework inside our body on which our flesh is placed. The skeleton present inside the body is called an endoskeleton. What it is called? It is called an endoskeleton. Now birds, humans and human beings and most animals have endoskeleton. So, in some animals, the skeleton is outside the body in the form of a shell. Have you seen the snail? you see the skeleton is outside the body. How it is? In the form of a shell. So this type of skeleton is called exoskeleton. What it is called? Exoskeleton. So I will let you know who all will have exoskeleton. Nails, many have seen nails. Snails, snails, snails. Cockroaches, crabs, lobsters, all these belong to exoskeletons. And some animals like tortoises have both endoskeleton and also exoskeleton. So let's take a look at the human endoskeleton. The human skeleton has 6 main parts. How many main parts? 6 main parts. One is the skull, the backbone. In the other words, it is called the spine or the vertebral column, the rib cage, the shoulder bone, the hip. In other words, it is called pelvic bone and the limbs. So their human skeleton has 6 main parts. I'll show you in this skeletal system. Which are those 6 main parts? Skull. This is the skull. And back part of the rib. This is the rib cage. Back part of it is called vertebral column. In other words, it is called the spine. And this is the rib cage. And these are the shoulder bone. And these are the hip bone. And hip bone. And this is pelvic. And these are the limbs. Okay. Now this 6 main parts we are going to learn one by one. Okay. The activity. Take out your science textbook. See, take out page number 70 and see the activity 4. What does the 4 activity tells? You take a deep breath and hold it for a little while. And you feel your chest bones. You can try this in your house. First, take a deep breath and hold it for a little while. Feel your chest bones and the backbone by gently pressing the middle of the chest and back at the same time. Count as many ribs, that is bones of the chest, as possible. You can see what you can see. You can see the rib cage. This is the rib cage. Can you see? While you take the deep breath and hold for a little while and you feel this chest, what do you notice? You notice the bones. At the back also you notice the backbone. Isn't it? So what are these? You touch and you feel of the chest bone. What do you see? We see that the ribs are curiously bent. How they are bent? Curiously bent. And they join the chest bone and the backbone together to form a box. How they are formed? They are formed together like a box. Isn't it? So this is called, what it is called? Rib cage. What it is called? It is called rib cage. So there are 12 ribs on each side of the chest. And some important internal part of our body lie protected inside this cage. Can you tell me which are the internal part of our body protected inside this cage. The main organ is heart and lungs. Heart and lungs are being protected from the rib cage. Rib cage protects the important organ. The first main part of the human skeleton, that is rib cage, we have learnt. So what is rib cage? The joint, the chest. We see that the ribs are curiously bent. They join the chest bone and the backbone together to form a box, and this box is known as rib cage. There are how many ribs? There are 12 ribs on each side of chest. You can touch and feel it. And some important internal part of our body are being protected inside this cage. So which are those internal part of our body? The heart and the lungs. This is the importance of the rib cage. So if you have time, when you have the time, just try to draw this in the rough notebook, the rib cage. 12 ribs. Okay. Now, you have touched the backbone. Backbone, what is this backbone? It is the another main part of the human skeleton. Backbone is what? Another main part of skeleton, human skeleton. What is the other name for the backbone? It is known as spine. What it is known as? It is known as spine. So how do we stand up straight? We can do that. How? With the support of a hard structure along our entire back called the spine. It is called the spine. You can see this is called the spine. Or in other words, it is known as backbone. Okay. So, some animals, this spine is also known as vertebral column. What it is called? It is known as vertebral column. And some animals do not have vertebral column. Animals that have the vertebral column, what are they called? They are called vertebrates. And those do not have the vertebral column, they are called invertebrates. Now our spine consists of how many small bones? How many? 33. These are 33 small bones. So 33 small bones are called what? They are called vertebrae. Spell the word vertebrae. vertebrae. They are called vertebrae. So this vertebrae, the backbone consists of how many vertebrae? 33. And the rib cage is joined to this bones. I have showed you in figure 8.8. Our spine, or in other words, it is called backbone, consists of how many small bones? 33 small bones. What are they called? They are called vertebrae. But if the spine is made up of bones which are hard, how can we bend our back? So, the cartilaginous joint present between the neighboring vertebrae makes it possible for us to bend our back. It is also called as invertebral disc. It allows slight movement of the vertebral column. It also prevents friction between the vertebrae and absorbs shock when spine is under stress. So protects the spine protects an important organ of the human body. Which is the important organ of the human body? The spinal cord. The spinal cord is a bundle of nerve cells that connects all the parts of the body to the brain. The spinal cord, along with the brain, again forms the central nervous system. This is the reason why we must take extreme care of our backbone while doing any rigorous activity. What do you mean by rigorous activity? Rigorous activity means any difficult work like lifting heavy water or lifting 25 kg of weight or jawar. All these are rigorous activity. So what we finished two main parts of the human skeleton. First one is the rib cage, I have explained you. Second one is the backbone. In other words, it is called the spine or the vertebral column. So vertebral column, how many vertebrae are there? 33. Now next, make your friend stand with both hands pressed to the wall and ask her to push the backbone, the wall. And after that, what do you notice? Two bones on the back are prominent. Prominent means you are able to see. The bones are visible where the shoulders are. What are they called? The bones which are visible, are able to see, are prominent. What are they called? They are called shoulder bones. You see here figure 8.12. These are the shoulder bones. Okay, is that clear for you? It is called shoulder bones. Now, observe figure 8.13. This is 8.13 carefully. This structure is made up of pelvic bones. What type of bones? Pelvic bone, and they enclose the portion of your body below the stomach. This is the part you sit on. Okay. What is this called? Pelvic bone. So this structure, this figure 8.13 is the pelvic bone. The hip bone is formed by the fusion of three bones. One is ilium. When you go to the high school, you will learn all these things. Ilium and ischium, pubis, the hip bones together with a tail part of the spine form a large bony structure called the pelvis. Okay. So, this is the another main part of the human skeleton. Now next, which is that? The skull. You know that the skull is made up of many bones joined together. We can see in figure 8.14. What is this? This is the skull. Okay, what is this? This is the skull. The skull is made up of many bones joined together. It encloses and protects a very, very important part of the body. What is that? The brain. What it is? The brain. The skull is the bone in the head that supports the structure of the face and provides a protective cavity for the brain. So the skull consists of the cranium and facial bones. So this is the structure of the skull. So now we have discussed what we have discussed. We have discussed many bones and the joints of our skeleton. There are some additional parts of the skeleton that are not as hard as the bones and which can be bent. This you can see, feel the ear. Okay. Feel the we have discussed feel your ear. 1 minute. Shall we go to the skull? As we have learnt, the skull is made up of many bones joined together and it encloses. Encloses means it protects an important part of the body, that is brain. And there are some additional parts of the skeleton that are not as hard as the bones and which can be bent. They are called cartilage. What are they called? They are called cartilage. Now you feel your ear, then you can see figure 8.15. What is this? This is the upper part of the ear. You touch and you see that you feel it. How do you feel? It is not that very hard, but you see bony part, isn't it? And there do not seem to be any bones. But you see something different between the earlobe and the portion above it. You see in figure 8.16. This is the ear lobe. Okay. What is it? Earlobe and the portions above it. As you press them between your fingers, you do not feel something in the upper part of the ear that is not as soft as the earlobe, but not as hard as a bone, isn't it? So what is this? This is the cartilage. Where is cartilage found? Cartilage is also found in the joints of the body. Where do you see? You see in the joints of the body. So we have seen that our skeleton is made up of many bones, joints and cartilage. You could feel, bend and move many of them. So try to draw the human skeleton in the rough notebook. Only try whether you are able to draw the human skeleton in your rough notebook. So now we have learned that the bones in our body and about the joints that help us move in different ways and what makes the bones move the way they do. Now let us find out. Now you know that you have 5 fingers. Just close it. And what is found here? A fist with one hand. and bend your arm at the elbow and touch your shoulder with the thumb. You can see in figure 8.17. Okay, this is the A. This is the fist. Then you just hold and you touch your shoulder with the thumb. What do you notice? Do you see any change in the upper arm? Touch it with the other hand. Do you observe there is a swollen region in the upper arm? So this swollen region is known as what? Muscle. This is a muscle. The muscle is bulged due to contraction and it becomes smaller in length. Now again bring your arm back to its normal position. You can see in figure 8.17b. So again bring back to the normal position. What happened to the muscle? Is it still contracted? You can observe similar contraction of muscles in your leg when you walk or run. So when contracted, the muscle becomes what? Shorter, stiffer and thicker. When contracted, the muscles becomes shorter, stiffer and thicker. It pulls the bone. So muscles also play important role in the human body. Muscles works in pairs. When one of them contracts, the bone is pulled in that direction. The other muscle of the pair relaxes. What happens? Relaxes. So to move the bone in the opposite direction, the relaxed muscle contracts to pull the bone towards its original position. While the first relaxes, a muscle can only pull. It cannot push. Thus, two muscles have to work together to move a bone. So figure 8.17 tells about the muscles and the contraction of the muscles. So are muscles and bones always required for the movement? How do other animals move? Do all animals have bones? What about an earthworm or a snail? So let us learn about that in the previous next class. Now today we have discussed about the human skeleton. The main human skeleton has 6 parts: the skull, the backbone, or in other words it is called the spine or vertebral column. We have learnt about the rib cage. How many pairs are there? 12 ribs. So what important organ is protected by the rib cage? The heart and the lungs. And we have studied about the shoulder bone, the hip bone, or in other words it is called pelvis. And we have learnt about endoskeleton, exoskeleton and the limbs. So based on this explanation, I am going to give some 10 to 14 questions. You have to answer it and write that question and answer in your rough notebook. I would like to know how much you have understood the part 2. Okay. The questions I'll send it in the PDF. Okay. PDF, I'm going to send questions and then please write the answer for it in the rough notebook only. Please follow our instruction. Have you completed your activities? Science activity, make a file and maintain all those activities accordingly what I have given you, and when the date is mentioned it will be easy for you to bring and give it to us. The submission dates will be given and PDF of 13 to 14 question answers I am going to send you. Find out the answers. The skeleton I have told you, the framework of the, what is the skeleton? The framework. The body consists of number of bones in the skeleton and how many bones are there, and the framework of it is known as skeleton. What are corpuscles I have mentioned you, and how many bones are there in an human body or an adulthood, and name the muscles present in the upper arm, what is a rib cage, function of the human skeleton, and three components of the skeleton, and about the vertebral column or vertebrae, how many vertebrae are there, all that I have explained you. Based on that I am going to give you questions. Please write in your rough notebook and keep revising. Be prepared for FA2 test and also for the first semester exam. Don't depend. Now I have already come to the point of completing the first term syllabus. Till next class it will be part 3. After completing that, your portion for FA Essay 1 completes. 8 lessons are there. Read the lessons thoroughly. Given question answers practice nicely. Whether it is given in the rough book or notebook, everything learn, be ready. Okay children, so part 2 is clear for you about the human skeleton with the slides I have explained you. Once again go through it, find out the answers. Previous class I have given you 10 question answers. Did you answer them? I have faith in each and every one of you. You might have answered it. So today also another 14 questions are given based on my explanation of the second part. Please read the second part of it and find out the answers. Okay children, thank you. Bye. Stay safe and keep learning.